I walked home after I got discharged because no one's coming to pick up Frank. F that guy. He hasn't gotten it yet. He'll never get it. I came home, house is dirty. You can only imagine 2 weeks of craziness. I cleaned my house and I didn't know how to feel or what to say. Didn't know if I was going to have a job. Definitely knew I didn't have a girlfriend. My son who lives with me had moved out. I'm sitting there and I'm sweating, I'm dirty, and I'm trying to clean and trying to make sense of everything. And I got on my hands and knees. I said, God help me.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Journey to Solutions podcast, where we interview people from all walks of life who've overcome the impossible. We shine light on one simple truth: no matter your past, no matter your pain, with the power of God, anything is possible. Today, we have a very special guest. I met this gentleman at a podcast that I got invited to do. He's a part of an amazing church, amazing community of just these godly people, these people in recovery, and just people who are really about, spreading the good word to help people heal from traumas, mental health, and addiction. And we were having a conversation earlier, and he has something incredible going on at his place. I truly believe that when you can really dive deep into why you have these issues, the root cause, that's where healing takes place. When you only talk about the surface stuff, I feel like the issues will keep on arising. And so having those intimate groups is so healing. And we were kind of talking about like the beauty of, having God in your life, but also having a recovery structure in your life is so important to have both of those components. And he's also an entrepreneur. He's just an amazing person. And I'm just grateful to have him here today. So I want to introduce Frank. How do you say your last name?
Sahagun.
Sahagun.
Oh, it gets butchered.
It's funny because that's my cousin's last name.
Oh, really? We might be related.
Yeah.
Oh, see?
Yeah. It's funny. My uncle. So my best friend when I was 2 years old at the apartment complex. My mom and his mom were friends. Both single moms raising the kids. And my uncle would come over and bring his son, which is my older cousin. And I ended up playing baseball with my best friend when we were like 5 years old, 6 years old, Little League. Mm-hmm. And my uncle would always flirt with my friend's mom. And then they ended up getting married, having kids. So my best friend became my cousin. And so on her side of the family, they have your last name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, there's not many of us around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're from Fullerton. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so they're close by.
Yeah, close by.
Neighbors. I got to reach out to them.
Yeah.
Man. We're probably related. Chances are.
Yeah.
Stranger things have happened. Honored to be here, man. I follow you closely. Glad we interacted way back when, and we got to meet. It's funny how, ever since I started this journey and became a good Christian, still trying to be a good Christian. Try every day. Every day is hard, but how it's not funny, and there's no coincidences, but it just happens so naturally how we meet like-minded individuals. And it's kind of like you tell God, all right, I'm ready. Let's go on this journey. Let's go on this walk. And then he meticulously puts certain people in your life that not just help the cause, right, but make you better. And definitely meeting you has made me a better man.
No, I love that. Yeah, meeting you guys are something special. I'm a very service-driven person, right? Servant leadership, and you meet Christians all the time, and you meet good people,
right?
But there's a difference when you meet people that are very like people-driven, like it's naturally like, I want people in my house, I want to have community, I want to be able to give back more, and it's just like naturally who you are. There, you're not trying,
right? Well, see, here's caveat though. Here's the thing with that. I wasn't always a servant leader. I was extremely selfish. My recovery journey started back in 2016. And back then it was all about how do we get Frank better?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Like what was going on in your life that Frank had to get better?
So, I remember it all started with therapy, right? Because I was drinking more than I should have been drinking, and I couldn't figure out why. At that point, my life was very hectic. I was in this long-term relationship, and things were falling apart. And I was moving up the corporate ladder at a trash company. And then subsequently, my dad suffered back-to-back heart attacks. This is all in the same month. Relationship falling apart, home life sucks. Everything was just bad. And instead of figuring out the proper and the appropriate way to do things or to figure it out or to go out and get therapy, I started drinking more than because I used to be a weekend warrior. And I'll drink and I'd have barbecues and host people at the house and have a good time. Come Monday, I'd be feeling like crap, but we'd carry on to the next week and then do it all over again. Subsequently, though, my issues became too deep where I just started indulging more and more in alcohol to the point where it became an everyday habit. And, it started off slow, the happy hours, this, that. And then it really...
At what age did you start drinking? Would you say your first drink?
Oh, man. I started, socially drinking not too early because, I worked nightclubs. I was a DJ for a very long time.
Oh, you're a DJ? Okay.
Yeah. I remember playing at my first 21 and over club when I was 16.
Nice. You're doing the vinyls then at that point, right?
Oh, yeah.
Would you use techniques and all that?
Oh, yeah. I still have techniques
you do? Okay.
in my living room.
No way.
Oh,
I DJ. I have, I have Pioneers in my house, but there's Alpha Theta now. So I have the 4-channel Alpha Theta standalone.
Oh, nice. Yeah. No, I still have my tried and true techniques from way back then. Yeah. I've upgraded them over the years, though. So, everything's up to date and I don't use needles anymore. I played my first 21 and over club when I was 16. I didn't really start drinking till I was about 22, 23. And then it was just every now and then. I wasn't even really that much of a big drinker. And I never liked to drink during my sets or before my sets because I just love music that much.
Yeah, you truly love the craft.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you get a little buzzed, you're not playing the same. You're just
off
not.
A little bit,
in your head. Yeah. You might think you're ripping it up, but you're not. The only thing you're ripping up is someone's ears. Yeah. But yeah, so I was around alcohol and stuff, and everything was cool until it wasn't. And life. I remember my therapist says, you could only carry so much before the switch breaks. And my switch broke. It went from being able to control a substance to losing all control. And then going through the fact that you don't want to admit that you lost control, So in 2016, took a look, the relationship was gone. I had moved back in with my sister. I had taken on a new job. Dad's still sick. And still drinking heavily. And I looked in the mirror one day and I didn't like what I saw. And here I am losing things that mattered to me, and on the verge of losing everything else, job and whatnot, and my career, because up until that point I'm very good at what I do, and I went to therapy, and that's where I met my therapist, and that's where it all started, because she suggested AA. And so I remember walking into my first AA meeting and hearing all these people talk. And I'm like, man, I'm not even that messed up, bro.
Right.
Like, I'm just, 'cause you hear people talking about literally being urinated on and and
throwing up on those
waking up in these ditches on Skid Row. And I'm like, well, no, maybe I'm good, man.
Like, I just party a little hard. Oh.
That's not that bad. But it was bad. So that was my first integration, and that's when I really started learning what AA was and what my problem was.
Did you ever get to a point where you started to get like the physical withdrawals?
Yeah. So I would have these long stints of recovery, right? I would have sobriety for a year, 6 months, and then I never fully dove in my first few years.
Were you not really doing the steps at this point?
I wasn't.
Okay.
I wasn't. I would do some of the steps. I was faking the funk, and then once I would get the girl back or the job was good and everything was secure, ego took over because I never did the work. It was all surface level. I did what I had to do to pretend that I was okay, but I wasn't. Inside I was dying. And I wouldn't get it. Relapse after relapse, and I'd have these girlfriends and they'd go and it was just bad.
And then for you, when you look back at those relapses that were happening, what was usually the trigger before the relapse? Was it like you said, oh, I'm good now? You forget you have a problem. Was it boredom kicking in? Was it a girl that you liked that liked to drink? Like what were the things?
It was a combination. It would be a combination of things. Number one, there was an underlying issue, right, that I never really truly got over, right? And then ego, right? Because we all have these character defects, and I have every single one you can imagine. Multiply that by 3 times, and just understand this. Like, I was very good at what I do, making a lot of money, being that guy. I was the best salesman year over year, being flown to Costa Rica, all that good stuff, right? So very good at my craft. And so, but ego, right? I never knew how to keep it in check. And I was never one to give back. It was all selfishness. And so, yeah, I remember as soon as I believe I would hit a rock bottom, then I'd be like, oh, what was me? And then I'd do the work. I'd do a little bit of work, and then I'd be okay again. But then the ego would come back. Now you're good. Look at you. You're still successful. You still have money in the bank. You still have a house, But
yeah, what do you think for like people who don't understand that, right? Because I think some people have never really had success financially. And so for them, it's like, well, I had to get sober because I couldn't pay my bills. I couldn't afford buy a beer. I couldn't afford my drugs. But like you said, there's some people like you where it's like, I do have money in the bank. I do have these things. I could afford it. It's not affecting me. Even though I spend a bunch of money here, I still can make that money back, or I still have money. What do you feel like for you is the battle when you do have like financial success in a sense while you're trying to get clean sober?
That really meant nothing because inside I was tormented. I wasn't happy. And there's not enough money in the world, I don't believe, that could truly fill. If you have a hole that's centered around faith and you don't realize that you have something that you need and you can't figure it out yet, right? Because that's where I was. I wasn't, nothing was making sense. Always felt like I wasn't selected, always felt like I wasn't good enough, or I had more to prove. It was never enough.
So even though you had external success somebody would see, inside it still felt like it was
inside I was still empty. It was just emptiness. It didn't matter how many sales I would make or what records I would break. And it might have felt good at that moment, but then afterwards there was just emptiness. Nice home, beautiful girlfriend. It wasn't enough. And I didn't know what that enough was until, about a year ago, a little over a year ago. So it was just a continuous struggle. And yeah, you have money and you have success and you know that you could get back up. But those times when I felt like I was going to lose everything, and those were scary times. And one could easily say, you get back up and you find that success and you become successful again. So you don't really lose anything. But every single time I fell, I lost a little bit of myself, just a tiny bit. But then that added up, right? It continuously added up, and then gotten to the point back then when I looked at myself, I wasn't the man I used to be. I don't even think I was a man, or you could call him a man, or I don't know who that was. But I knew that the person I once was wasn't there anymore. And that was scary. And so I went to work, or what I called work back then. And so kept struggling, kept falling, had my moments. I mean, I remember one time I was in Mexico and I was supposed to be there on a trip to visit my family, and I spent the next 2 weeks just drinking myself almost to death. No one even saw me. But it was because inside I was empty,
And at this point, do you kind of have an understanding of what the underlying issues are?
It started making sense. It started making sense. So I would dive into a little bit more of the work. Then I met my sponsor, Juan, and we started doing step works. And he'll tell you to this day that I was very difficult. Right? He would use different terminologies, and he would probably say I was very stubborn.
Yeah. Were you how would you describe your personality during that time? Like, were you late to meetings? Would you not go to meetings? You said you were. Would you not share?
I think after a relapse, I was 100% dedicated and devoted.
Yeah.
And then I would get a little bit of success back, and then a little ego, and then I'd be like, "F you guys are, whatever. I don't need you guys."
Yeah.
But then I'd fall again,
Mm-hmm.
and then there would be Juan picking me back up, and then somebody else would have gotten hurt, you know, another girl or my kids, or something would happen where I was getting tired of losing good people, being not good to good people, because internally I was struggling. I couldn't make myself happy, so how am I ever going to make anyone happy?
Right.
Not even relationships, but my own family,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that hurt. So a few more relapses, and then I was good for about 2 years, and I was okay.
So for
And
2 years you were.
yeah, but I was integrated into the program, did the 12 steps, first go around, all in, everything was great. But then I met this guy. You know, I had a new girlfriend. Shout out. And everything was perfect, man. For a little bit of time, everything in my life was perfect. I moved back to Whittier. Everything felt complete. And but you know, we're addicts, so if we get a little taste of something that feels good, we go full on.
I want more of this.
So I met a gentleman who I started working out with, because at this point, you know, I'd go to the gym, but it was very bare minimum. I didn't know what I was doing. So I meet this guy, and you know, seems pretty fit, whatever. He needs my help in terms of business and trying to find job placement and all that. So it kind of works out to where we're training, you know. Then he introduces me to steroids. And so I used steroids for about 4 to 5 months.
And how was that introduction? Like, how did it get brought up? And what was it about it that you're like, yeah, I guess I'm down to try it?
He introduced it very lightly at first, and the more we worked out, the more I'd start seeing some gains. The more, you know, I contemplated it, and then I said, and then I remember the key words he uses is just a little's not gonna hurt, you know, and so there I go, unknowing that well, maybe I did know, but the changes that this thing was going to do to me go back to ego, right? So now my ego riding high, and I started becoming very short fused, very short tempered, and I needed to be at the gym, and I wasn't even looking good, man. It was on my head, and surely that ego just rode out of control. And I picked a fight with the girl, my girlfriend, and I was mad, and I was upset, and I was jealous, and I was raging, and there was a bottle of vodka that someone had left in my house that was sitting there for months, man, months. But you know how they say that a relapse happens
here way before the relapse physically happens,
way before it physically happens.
Yeah.
And there was a reason I didn't throw that vodka bottle out, because it should have been thrown out.
And at this point too, are you slowly like not going to meetings as much now? Are you kind of pulling away when
Yeah.
you get in that? Yeah.
So it was a combination. I stopped going to my meetings, started going to the gym more, substituting my meetings for gym, and it was just a matter of time. But in a weird way, I'm so grateful that it did, and I'm not grateful that I hurt people. But we talk about rock bottoms, and this one was it, because I went on a run. I went on about a 2-week run. And I was sitting on my couch, and I was drinking bottle after bottle of whatever I could get my hands on, and disappeared to the whole world, and ended up in the hospital. Sugar levels riding high, everything out of whack, everything out of control. They found the steroids I was using in my bloodstream. I was fortunate that it didn't cause any irreversible damage. I was fortunate I didn't get diagnosed with diabetes, but I was in intensive care. And I walked home, because, you know, it's 2 weeks after the fact, and I walked home after I got discharged, because no one's coming to pick up Frank. You know, F that guy. He hasn't gotten it yet. He'll never get it. I came home. House was dirty. You can only imagine 2 weeks of craziness. And I cleaned my house, and I didn't know how to feel or what to say. Didn't know if I was going to have a job. Definitely knew I didn't have a girlfriend. My son, who lives with me, had moved out, and I'm sitting there, and I'm sweating, dirty, and I'm trying to clean and trying to make sense of everything. And I got on my hands and knees, and I said, God, help me. You know, I mean, at this point, you're coming down from 2 weeks of being inebriated, and your head is just out of whack. I remember my sofa pillows were turning into demons, and it was just bad.
And you're that out of it, huh?
I was completely out of it. I hadn't slept, and I had this conversation with God. I said, I don't know why I do the things that I do, and I don't know how we got here, but we're here, and I need your help. And next day, you know, I got up. It was 2 weeks of torment, and luckily for me, you know, I'm so good at what I do that you know, I still have, you know, arrow in my position and everything, and they worked with me. And
What do you think it was? So they didn't fire you?
No, absolutely not.
What do you think it was now that you look back that they gave you a chance, or kind of let that, like, what?
I think it was God.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was God, and I think He was like, okay, you're ready, but what I got in store for you, you're gonna need certain things. And yeah, I started going back to my AA, and we started working on the 12 steps again. You know, it's probably for the sixth time, and working with Juan and feeling ashamed and resentful and all that good stuff that comes with a relapse. And but I knew that I needed to work, and I knew that that hole that I've always had was the love of God that I've always had, but I just had forgotten about it. And then I had Valerie Valverde on the Triangle Hustle, and I met her, and through her I met Aaron, my discipler. And I went over to his office. Shout out to Aaron. And that man changed my life. He led me and walked with me to the very thing that I was missing, and that was Jesus Christ.
And what do you feel like he did that no one else was able to do to that point?
He knew he had walked a similar walk, and it didn't take him more than 30 seconds to know that I needed Jesus more than anything. Because if I hadn't, I'd probably had gone back, or had not worked what I needed to work on. And so now I'm working. Now I'm going to Boundless. Now I become a Christian. I get baptized, and I'm reading the Bible, and I'm reading Scripture, and so much work going into this. And at the same time, I'm redoing the 12 steps with poor Juan. But now it has a deeper meaning. Now I could attach it to something, because I'm doing the 12 steps in the Christian program. I'm doing the 12 steps with Juan, and I'm just diving. I'm just working. I complete the 12 steps with Juan. At the same time, I'm offering things to our recovery room. And just something happened, man. Something clicked, and I started getting more in touch, and I started feeling. And you know what they say? When you find that level, two things happen, right? The good thing is you find your feelings, and the bad thing is you find your feelings. And I remember I'm doing all this work, and I'm driving home, or I'm driving to work, and I'll have these cries, man, out of nowhere, just very emotional, just in-depth conversations with God, and we just talk about how we got here and what's going on, and I'm asking him, well, what's happening here? What's you know? And then just slowly but surely, more and more things start happening. Because at this point, I'm like, am I always just going to be this amazing trash man, this guy who has these business ideas and who does extracurricular activities for financial gain, or am I going to actually do something worth doing? You know, and I remember being in service once, and the pastor was talking about purpose, finding purpose, having that hole, having that search for a deeper meaning. And I think a lot of men have that, right? And we relate that to success, right? If I become more successful, I'm going to be a better man. If I have the money, I'm going to be a better man. If I have the body, the muscles, then that makes me a man. And none of that ever made me a better man, you know, because I've had success. I've had money, you know. I mean, I wasn't terribly out of shape, but none of that made me better. And so I'm listening to the pastor talk about finding purpose and finding Jesus and finding what you're meant to do and praying about it, praying. And I remember at that service, I put my head down and I go, I'm ready for something, and it's got to be purposeful. And, help me find my purpose. Here I am, 49 years old, trying to find purpose, and then I've always had sponsors, but I've never been too involved with AA and going out of my way for people or to be of service.
So let me ask you about that, because that's basically service is, people forget, like, service is the cure to addiction, they say, right?
Right.
You got to be of service. You got to be of service.
Yeah.
What do you think it was for you that you didn't take that lesson in that whole entire time for you? What do you think it was that got in the way of that? And then I want to know, what was it this time that you were able to, like, step into that?
I got in my own way. And I didn't know any other way. And I didn't like the type of service that AA offered, or to go to read the big book to people in recovery rooms, or to do any of that stuff.
Panels and
yeah.
Think of a commitment.
And or to be the treasurer, or to be the literature guy, or the secretary, or like all that. Because that's what I do on the business side of things, and I'm like, But now I'm at this Christian recovery group, and there's men just like me, and there's other men who are cool and charismatic and not so AA driven, because you get some hardcore individuals in those AA, in those AA groups,
old school ways. Yeah.
And here you have, I guess, I don't want to use the term normal, but here you have some men who are normal to me, and they're living life on life's terms, and they're struggling just like I did, but they have God, right? So that makes it, I don't know, like I want what they have, right? If that makes sense. So that was the change. And I still fought it. I didn't want to. I didn't want to be of service. And then so I meet this kid, and this kid and I get along. Shout out to Alex. And we're having these conversations, and he, I met him when I first started going to the Christian recovery group, and we're having these conversations about our exes and about this, and we have these cries, and we have these, but we're getting along, man, so much. And I'm offering him, I didn't even know that I was giving him, I was speaking life to him based on my past experiences and everything that I went through. And then, you're sitting in AA rooms for all these years, and you hear certain things, and then out of nowhere, you're repeating them like years later, and you're offering them as a device to someone, and you're like, where did that come from? Oh yeah, it came from AA. And so I'm doing a lot of this to Alex, and then finally one day, he's having a relapse, and he calls me and he asks me to sponsor him. I'm like, nah, man, I don't sponsor people. And he gets really upset, and he starts sending me these demonic messages. Yeah, I'm telling your story, bro. And he starts sending me these I thought he was possessed. Yeah. Dude, like I literally got chills, and he's like, you got to sponsor me, man. Or, you're a liar. Your program's weak. You're not who you say you are, and you're not this, and you're not that. And I remember I asked him to hit me up when he sobered up, and he did. And I said, all right, I'll sponsor you. And the only way I knew how to sponsor people was how Juan taught me. So I break out the packet. Juan gave me a packet back in 2017 that helped me work the 12 steps, and it was really condensed and broken down into a way where you dive deep into what's going on in your inner self, and it asks you certain questions, right? All AA based, and I start working this with Alex. And we start getting places, we start finding out some truths, not only about him, but about me. And then I get this idea where I'm like, what if I took this packet and I added everything that I'm learning on the Christian side? Because the thing about AA is we don't really depict who our higher power is for various reasons, right? And good reasons. But here you have a group of individuals who already decided who their Lord and Savior was, who their higher power is, right? And here I am introducing this to one of the guys, but I also know that other men need it too, because I see a lot of surface level work. but no one's really diving deep. And what I found when I worked the packet was where my trauma did lie. And it was never being selected, and it stemmed all the way back to my kid's mom. And without that packet and without my religious faith and without Jesus, I wouldn't have been able to find that out. And that helped me heal my trauma. And then I became a different version. That's really when things start setting off. And now I'm doing this with Alex, and so I figure if I grab this packet and I convert a lot of it and I name it, and it's God-centered, it's faith-based, it's Christian-based, and we tweak some things where instead of asking why you do the things you do, we ask more in-depth questions of why you do the things you do in relation to Jesus Christ, in relation to your faith. How do you see God? How do you believe he talks to you? How do you talk to him?
Yeah, and why do you find that so important? Because I love those in-depth questions, not just, you believe in God, right? Perfect. Here's the scripture, read it. But I like what you just said. How do you see God?
Yeah.
How do you experience him? How does he speak to you? Like, what's your idea?
Because we have these misconceptions, right? We have these misconceptions that we go through these trials and these tribulations, and sometimes a lot of us feel like God doesn't love us or God's not there. And a lot of times we become our own worst enemies because we have those feelings, but we never ask or we never really take a deep dive into that. We never see him for who he truly was or is, who he truly is.
Yeah, I know. Like for me, I when I did that, it was like write out the personality of your God, like what you think it is. And it was interesting because I learned through therapy, through sponsorship, just through being around in conversations, was my perception of God was based through the lens of my biological dad. For me, without even knowing that. But it's because my biological dad was narcissistic. Father, that's my father. So when I hear you guys say father, my father, my father, I subconsciously, this idea of a father figure has some of these characteristics of my dad without even knowing it. Yeah. So the way I move, the way I think he speaks to me, how everything was based off of a judgmental, transactional type of God, which is then is going to cause me to view God in a specific way, but also is going to cause me to move in a specific way because of that.
Yeah, and most people do that, right? They do see the transactional side, and they do see that in the sense of, if I don't walk this way and I walk that way, I'm gonna be disciplined in a certain sense, or he's gonna punish me, or he's gonna leave me, or that kind of stuff and that kind of behavior. And it's different for a lot of men, but those are the questions we ask. The fourth step, the character defects, everything is so in depth. I mean, we started weeks ago, and what started with Alex turned into 3 people, and now we're up to 9, and I'm hosting them at my house. And here I am, a guy who never gave back, who never wanted to do anything, is all of a sudden assisting a men's recovery group on Monday, Bible studies during the week, the deep dive on Thursdays, and anything else. Aaron sends me on special missions sometimes to go help families or to go talk to people. It's like I'm working for the Secret Service, because I literally will get a call or a text and say, meet me at my office, I have something for you. And I show up, and there's like this mission, like, you need to go talk to this guy, or you need to go see, or here's a guy who needs our help, and then I'm off. And then we bring somebody back into the kingdom, or it's just the things that have happened to me this last year and a half. There's no explanation other than the power of God.
Yeah, and what are you noticing now, the benefit of you being of service like this now? Because remember, like you said, you weren't like that before, and now you're just like you said, you're full-fledged man of service. Like, what are the benefits that you're seeing this is bringing to your life?
The ego is definitely in check, because I noticed that when I'm moving now, I move with intention, and I don't think about myself. It's not about me. I learned a valuable lesson. It's never been about me. I mean, my recovery, my journey was me. My walk back to Jesus Christ was me. But when I asked for the purpose, when I asked for what that was, I truly feel like I'm meant to help other men find what I was missing for so long. So one of the things that I notice is that my ego is, I don't even think, man. When I'm moving, I'm not thinking about myself. It's like I'm more worried about not being there for someone that needs me than my own self-interest. And I find this, it's not easy, because you walk with other men and you hear their stories, and some of that goes home with you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it goes home with you. A lot of it triggers some of my old feelings. And I used to think I'd call Juan and I'd call Aaron all the time, like, hey, I got this situation and it's making me feel a certain way. And I get the same response from both of those dorks. God, I'll see you through. Yeah.
That's not what I wanted to hear.
That's not what I want to hear, man.
Yeah.
I want to hear you kind of like Yoda me, man.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey, tell me something. But the funny thing is that he does,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm too tired, or you know, and I didn't think about this until recently when someone said, the way you're moving, you know, it's something to see, because that went away. And the guy that used to ride high on its ego and ride high on conquering the world or making the biggest sale, all of a sudden became a servant.
Mm.
And your needs are now prioritized more than my own. And then when all is said and done, and when the work's put in, and on days where I feel like I can't anymore, and something happens, and you see a light go on in someone's eyes, or they get something, or you help them get through something, and then you see that they're going to make it, and that they're finally gravitating towards God, and then that fills my cup.
That's a beautiful thing. Yeah. It's funny because scientists, there's a book called How God Affects the Brain from a scientific standpoint. These scientists wanted to study, you know, and they studied recovering addicts. And they're like, why do recovering addicts, how are they able to stay sober when they're of service? Like, why?
Mm-hmm.
And they notice that the brain releases the same chemicals as drugs and alcohol when they serve others.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how fascinating God is. He's like, all right, you guys are so selfish. You guys want to feel good all the time. So I'm going to make helping others the best high ever.
Right.
You know, the best buzz ever, because this is going to help.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's the more we focus on others, the less we think about ourselves. And I love that you said too, it's not always easy.
No.
I think some of us are more naturally, it's more natural for us to be of service than others, right? Like you said,
Right.
for you, you had to kind of become it. Some people were always people pleasers, let's say,
Right.
like that. So to them, it's like, you're always good at this, but now you have to kind of take it back a little bit because you overdo it.
Yeah.
And that balance. But like what you said, it could be difficult sometimes because the stories that you hear.
Yeah.
People are difficult. There's some people that are more difficult than others. And you're sacrificing. That's what it is. You're sacrificing your time for someone else. And it can be challenging, like what you say, because you do bring it home sometimes. You can't just, especially in the beginning, you can't just not bring it home. You're like, what do I do with this? Especially if you care.
Yeah.
And sometimes we really want to help the person, like really help. Like if I do this, maybe if I do that. How do you deal with like that separation of like, yes, be there for others, but also don't forget to take care of yourself?
So that's been a struggle. But again, right, we talk about preparation and how God moves. When I was going through my thing, I was taking these walks around the block, and subsequently I run into this guy. I got my headphones on, and you know, this is a few months in, and he taps me on the shoulder. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Just taking a walk, man." And he's like, "Come inside." And I look up, and it's a jiu-jitsu gym, literally right behind my house. And I'm like, why not? I got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So I go inside and I meet Art. Shout out to Art at the JJTI, and he just starts talking about life. And we don't even talk about jiu-jitsu. We're just talking about life. And he's asking me what's wrong and, you know, whatever. And he's like, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And I go, "Nothing." He goes, "Meet me here at 6. So I get introduced to that. So I start doing jiu-jitsu a year and a half ago. And that helps. That helps me through a lot of what I do. Because for 2 hours when I'm there, I'm not thinking about it. I'm just thinking about not getting choked out.
Yeah, not getting choked out.
Yeah. And so that happened. And then through that I meet Ray, who trains me at the gym. And that's my second church.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm able to carry a lot because I exhaust a lot of the frustrations and a lot of the things that I see out in the gym, and that's where I take it out. You know, So I'm able to move more. And people trip out because they're like, how can you do everything that you do and assist in all these programs and open your house to men and still have time for the gym? It's not gym sanctuary, bro. Like, there's a misconception.
Yeah.
But that's how I deal with part of it. And the other part, obviously, I have great support with some of the men at the recovery group. Great support from my sponsor Juan and the most tremendous captain this side of the Mississippi in Aaron Valverde. And when I hit a wall, I'll call him and he will Yoda me through a life experience or through something. And for the first time ever, I Yodaed him yesterday.
That's right. What'd you tell him?
Oh, we had an issue with some guy who had a mishap, and he was trying to label it as a relapse. And I said, no, that's not how AA sees it. You know, I mistakenly took a drink from a cup that wasn't his. It's a slip, not a relapse.
Yeah, he didn't intentionally do that. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so he was like, "Oh, really?" Yeah. I was like, yeah. So we continue the work, you know. And but it's just things like that. I have a support system that God has put in my life. The people that I lost a lot of friends throughout my journey. Most of them were heavy drinkers, and not really people that God has surrounded me with. And now God, I swear to you, my jiu-jitsu clan, they're like my neighbors. And they're always passing by my house, and we're always meeting each other at hikes or at Stater Brothers or at the grocery store, and we're hanging out, we'll have barbecues. And then you got my recovery brotherhood, who are like-minded individuals, and we're all trying to get healthy. So when I'm not with them, I'm with these other guys. And when I'm not doing that, I'm at work. And it's just always busy, but purposeful busy. And then I still make time for family and the people in my life that matter. I mean, just this weekend, I was with you know, being of service at a fireworks stand for someone I truly value and adore. You know what I'm talking about.
How many kids do you have?
I have twin boys, Christian and Gabriel, and they're 24, and I still have time for them. They come over on Sundays, especially during football season. One of them still lives with me. It works for me. He's my sales coordinator.
Yeah. How is that for you rebuilding your relationship with your kids?
Well, I've learned a long time ago that the only way to rebuild and mend a relationship is through working on yourself. So I knew I just needed to dial in focus and hopefully, you know, walk away with something. And that's just what I was doing. I didn't chase him or, you know, try to, because at that moment I needed to heal. The funny thing is that when you go through a relapse or you go through a traumatic experience where you screwed the pooch, effed up or whatever, the only real thing you could do is work on yourself and become a better version. And then subsequently people see you. People will see you.
Yeah, I know one thing we would always run into is, so when I worked at in rehabs, you know, you have a client come in and you got to remember this client, none of us know them. It's the first time we all meet them, the therapist, the counselors, the techs, the clients. So for us, when they're there for 30 days and they're showing up to group and they're doing great, we're all celebrating. That's amazing. 2 days, 3 days sober, right?
Yeah.
And they go back home, right, with 30 days sober, and they expect their wife to just be like, oh my gosh, 30 days, yay. And it's not like that, though, because the wife remembers you the day when you left. So when you come back, that's still the idea of who you are. And so we teach people like, hey, don't take it personal. If your wife still doesn't trust you and doesn't want to hang out with you, thinks you're still getting high, don't expect them to just be like, oh my gosh, you're changed course. Like, no, like you said, it's going to take time. Actions over time, then they'll start to see, and then let them open up to you. So I like that you said that. It's like, you got to work on you until they can see it. Because how many times do we say, I'm getting sober this time, I won't ever do that again? Sometimes it'll be different. How many times have we said that to the point where our words have no depth, right?
No, you lose credibility. You lose credibility when you do something like that, right? But I also think when you're walking a certain way and when you're really surrendered, when you're truly surrendered and your heart is in the right place, your words carry a certain level of conviction. People know when you're faking the funk, you know, and people that are really in tune to you know. And my sons are very in tune to me. And God bless them because they never gave up on their father. But I've always been a very involved father. I mean, they're my world. And I thank God every day for them, and we're just very close. And they're very sarcastic, and they could be little assholes sometimes, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Man. And but they always knew that even through the bad, there was a lot of good. And even though I wasn't of service, I was still a very giving man, and I was always there. I was never an absentee father. I mean, I fought hard for those guys. But going back to the first trauma experience, going back to my first trauma was the thing that I went through with their mother. We were very young when we had the boys. I was 24, and really didn't have any direction, DJing at clubs, and I could have been David Guetta if it wasn't for those two guys. I could have. I'd be.
He's gotta let you guys know, right?
Yeah, he's gotta let you guys know. Just Christian and Gabriel. Your dad could be spinning, off the coast of Spain over there in Ibiza. But I became your dad and the world's greatest trash man. But not throwing any shade. I still love you guys, but I could have. Thanks a lot. But yeah, it wasn't easy to be a dad. It definitely wasn't easy, man, because we were young. They were born, rocky relationship. I mean, I could tell you stories. I mean, one time I tried to take them to my aunt's house when they were about 6 weeks old, and their mom had post-traumatic, postpartum depression, and I was chased around with a knife, and I had to call the cops, and we separated after that, and then she made me fight so hard to be a dad. I remember she offered me a deal. She said, you could be a weekend father and have supervised visits. I'm still a student. I'm working part-time at Home Depot, and I'm DJing on the weekends. You give me $3,000 a month, and you could see them on the weekends and pay for their health care. And I'm like, where am I going to come up with $3,000 a month? I don't even make two. So I remember scrounging up about $1,500, and instead of giving her $3,000, I served her with papers, and my journey to be a part of their life started, because I didn't see my kids for 6 months because it took that long to get a court date.
Did she have mental health issues? Did you figure out
I don't know. I communication between her and I was surface level after that. So outside of the court, So I remember going to court, and we tried mediation. That didn't work. And I remember sitting there in front of the judge, and I'm working part-time at Home Depot overnights and going to school during the day. And she just starts going on this rant about how she wants summertime vacation, an ungodly amount of money that I wasn't even making, and healthcare and all this stuff. And the judge was like, okay, well, wait a minute. And then he turns to me and he goes, Mr. Sahagun, what do you want? And I remember looking at this man. I was scared, and I was probably shedding a tear, and I was like, I just want to be a dad. And then he looked at me for what felt like an eternity, and he's all like, and then he looked at her, and he looked at me again, and he goes, joint custody granted for the father. And I got like 48%, and that was being a dad, 24. And every 6 months we'd go to court. So every 6 months I'd have to defend my right. But yeah, that was a bad relationship. It started my trauma was, being cheated on, not being selected, not being chosen.
With the first one,
with
right?
the first one. And it happened again with the second one. And that, and it was for various reasons. I remember the second one, we both became tremendous busy. She was an RN, and I had just started my career as the greatest trash man in the history of trash men. So, I mean, there was a time when we would just see each other through the hallway.
Yeah, you become like roommates at that point.
Yeah, roommates. So what happens is people stray. But again, that hit the old wound, not being selected. And I never talked about it. It was never about me, or it was never about not being good enough. It wasn't about not being a man.
Or emasculated.
Not any of that stuff. It had absolutely nothing to do with me, and everything to do with their feelings and what they were going through. It's got nothing to do with me.
So yeah, now that you reflect back on those two times where there was, you being cheated on, and now you can really see it for what it is. How did you manage to look at those situations with a different light? And what I mean by that is, like, in recovery, when we do like the relationship inventory, At first, when I was in my past relationships, they're the problem. How
Right.
dare they do X, Y, and Z? And then,
Yeah.
my sponsor's like, well, how did you guys meet?
Yeah.
Well, like this. That doesn't seem kind of healthy. Well, yeah, but okay, what about this? Oh, yeah. He's like, that doesn't seem healthy. I'm like, was there any red flags? Well, I mean, well, And then he's like, okay, so it sounds like you have a part in this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so for me, it helped me understand like my part in things, which allowed me to forgive.
Right.
Again, I'm not, it's not saying cheating's right or this and that was right, but it was like, I had a part too, for me, it was choosing relationships from a place of, my codependency. I need to be in a relationship, not knowing that. But so in that moment, my sponsor's like, well, that's not healthy to begin one. And then it was, okay, when things weren't good, why did you stay? So, okay, well, then the other times you got hurt is on you now.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. So for me, it kind of helped me understand to just, all right, I forgive. And then now I need to work on me so I don't repeat that pattern with my next relationship because my picker was off.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it's the same with me. What I found out about myself now and the way I view the world now is it was like a big giant weight was lifted because now I have clarity. Now I know that it was never about me, but now I also have God. And now I also have all the work that I've been doing. And so when I look at things now and I look, I've already been chosen by the only person that matters, and that's Jesus. What people do based on their own free will, based on their actions, I have no control over that. I never will. The only thing I could control is how I behave in my character. And the only thing I could do is approach things with the best integrity, the best version of myself that I possibly can. And here's what I believe now. If I move with conviction, if I move with integrity, if I move with purpose, no weapon will be formed against me. If I am obedient and if I pray, and if I continuously do the right thing as best as I can, to the best of my ability, because I've already surrendered, I don't foresee myself going through something like that again. And if I do, it won't be my first rodeo, and it wouldn't be my fault.
Yeah, and that's so good. I think when you start to understand, right, you can't control other people's actions. It's always a reflection of them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I did this video and it was like, all right, guys, you guys want to know the secret to making sure your partner never cheats on you? And everyone's like, yeah, ready? There isn't one.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Because you can't control another person.
Right.
If they do it, they're going to do it. There's nothing you can do. You can't say the right things. You can't buy them the right things, right? You can't love them the right way. It's like you said, it has nothing to do with you.
No.
And once you understand that, like you said, and you have a relationship with God, and like God is what fulfills me. The problem is when I want my wife to fulfill me, my friends to fulfill me, my job that's the problem. Because then guess what? Now they own you.
Yeah.
And those things are fleeting.
Yeah.
Where God is not fleeting. So if you can get fulfilled with him, then now everything else is just a gift.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about the flesh all the time and the struggles, right? Because we're all human at the end of the day, and we're going to have desires and whatnot. But I'm telling you, this last year, the journey, like, I tried dating and
how did that go?
and kudos to the people that I met, great people, there's a lot of hurt people out there, and and here I am doing the work and doing these things, but then at the end of the day, was it just because I wanted validation and a distraction or someone to tell me that I'm good enough again? It didn't last very long. I went out on 2 dates with 2 people, and I quickly found that, number one, I wasn't healed, and I still had a lot of work to do.
What did you notice? What did you notice that kind of gave you this idea of like, I don't think I'm healed yet. Let me take a step back.
Because I wasn't, and it's so weird, and I'm not trying to make myself sound better than or whatever, but it could have gone in any direction that I would have chosen to. And then I noticed that I did something that maybe in my life I wouldn't have done, because I could have gotten more out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But for the first time in my life, I noticed that I didn't want to hurt anyone else or to mislead someone based on my own desires or what the flesh wants, because we all want that validation.
Right.
And then I took a hard look and I noticed that my heart was still attached to someone else. And I will never pursue someone until that detachment's cut completely. And then I just wanted to be better. I just wanted to be the best version of myself. And I had work to do, and I still have work to do, you know? And then you couple the purpose in, right? You're going out with someone and telling them that your weeks are filled with other men. And when it's not men in recovery, it's men sweating all over you and, you know, literally nuts on your face at the jiu-jitsu classes. That's not an easy pill for people to swallow. Like, wait a minute, you're not going to be able to take me out because you're surrounded by all these other things the other time.
All these dudes.
Like, yeah. And some people don't believe. And then I came to the conclusion that it's going to take a special person to support the purpose that I have.
Yeah.
And the purpose that I have is more important than anything else right now, you know? And for someone to understand that would be asking too much.
I love that too, that you had the strength to listen to that awareness. Because I think a lot of times, you know, even when we're starting to better our life, it's like, okay, cool. You have God in your life now. Now you understand. Now you're not drinking and using, but now there's all these new experiences you're going to have, and you're going to have to learn how to walk through it and do your best, right? Because we're still human, to make the right decision. And if you don't, learn how to pivot, make it right, and learn from it. But sometimes it's scary to make the right decision, you know, because I don't want to hurt their feelings. I really don't want to walk through that. How do I avoid that? Maybe, you know, maybe it'll be different. But the fact that you had the awareness and you reflected and you're like, I really don't want to cause that, you know, and to listen to that. And you're right. When God has this big purpose for you and you're now serving and doing all these things, and you know what you need to be right with yourself, you have this purpose for others, and you love your life. The person that you bring in now has to complement that. Yeah.
And he works in so, I mean, he's got the craziest, funniest sense of humor sometimes.
He does.
He's like very sarcastic sometimes. It's like he obviously he knows me so well, and he knows how I am, because I could be very sarcastic too. And it's like we're playing off each other, because he's like, oh, ready for this one? Check this out, Frank. So needless to say, you know, ultimately lately, I haven't been lonely. Like, even in my downtime, you know, there's been someone that I still hang out with and I still talk to, and the level of respect that we have for each other right now, way better than we ever had. And so, you know, like sex and stuff like that, that's obviously it's missed, but I mean, it's okay, because there's time for that. You know, I would not change one aspect of where my life at this very moment is for anything right now. And as much as people would say, if you could go back, would you change everything? Absolutely not. I'd keep it the same way. Every struggle, every heartfelt moment, every single drink, every time I fell, every heartbreak, every tear, I would keep. Because this version of myself right now, I don't recognize, but I love so much.
I love that. Yeah, it's you know, it's through all that pain and all that suffering where you develop that sense of empathy, wisdom, character, and then all the things that you're able to give, right? And giving's not just, like you said, it's not just money, it's time, it's understanding, it's listening, it's wisdom, it's all that comes from our past experiences. And it's like, yeah, it's the best thing ever. I always say, hey, the more you suffer, the more you can relate to people.
Yeah, there's so much truth to that, you know, because you're like been there, done that, you know, and I think God uses the brokenhearted to do some of his best work.
100%.
And you know, how can you we go back to sales, and I'll give you an example. You have these people that have been that'll have a psychology degree, but they'll get into the sales industry and they'll become a sales leader, but you've never sold anything. You know what I mean? So how do you expect someone to help you if you're battling drugs and alcohol, if they've never did drugs or alcohol, if they never suffered, if they never been down and out, you know?
Yeah, that's why it's, and I always tell people, right? Because people always argue this thing, right? Oh, it's not true. It's like, listen, everybody, I'm not saying that someone can't help you in a way, but I say there's a difference between good advice and beneficial advice. Right? My therapist is not an addict, but he helped me with a specific trauma. Right? That's a trauma. That's what he helped me with. But when it comes to my addiction, the most healing advice I ever took is from other addicts. Because there's a hidden language that we understand without having to say it. You know, my girl's a normie. And I'll mess around with her. I'll be like, yeah, I don't think I got a problem anymore. She goes, really? I go, nah, I think I just, you know, I was in a place where I kind of, you know, was like struggling financially, didn't really know who I was, you know, still people pleasing. And I think now that I've healed that, like, it's like, yeah, I don't want to blow up my life. That, to me, it's dumb. She goes, that makes sense. And I go, I'm just kidding with you. But again, that's what we mean. It's like, because they just don't get it.
Right.
Because it is hard to fathom addiction. It's like, if we were to explain it to somebody, it'd be like writing all over the walls. I think there's like a meme like that, or some guys like going crazy. I'm like, that's addiction to someone who doesn't get it. But someone
I always hear the same thing. You can't just stop. Like, you can't just put it down. Like I could drink 2 beers and put it down. Like, yeah, that's you.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand. Like, you know, but for me, picking that drink up, maybe for a few hours, I'd be charismatic, fun-loving Frank.
Yeah, that was like great.
But, you know, and for many years, I was, you know, I was the life of the party. But after going through some traumatic experiences, every time I drank, I'd go back to that when I was alone, when the party was over, when the crowd left.
And that always happens sooner or later.
and it's just me and that bottle.
Yeah.
And then it's a reflection, and then it's all the bad that I did, and how people walked away, and how people hurt me, and then continuously drinking until I forgot.
And I always tell people, like, the psychological warfare that you go through after a relapse can be so hard. Even if physically you're good, even if you didn't destroy anything around you, it's the psychological warfare. Like, can you walk through that, or are you gonna drink and get high because you can't deal with it? That's difficult. It's
hard to get back up. It's hard to crawl out from under a hole, and you wonder to yourself, man, am I going to be down there again? But in my heart of hearts, I would not be able to sustain another relapse, nor do I want to. And it's funny because I work with some people who romanticize the drink, and they'll still drink the 2% or the 0% or the near beer or the O'Doul's and stuff. And a gentleman asked me the other day, I'm going to a Dodger game with my girlfriend, but I'm gonna have the 0. And in my head, I'm a nice guy, so I say it in a nice way, and I'll tell him, don't romanticize the drink, bro. Don't. Why? You know, that's not you anymore. You know, but in my head, I'm like, come on. You're faking the funk. Like, you know, yeah, cool, granted, but you might be seconds away from converting into the real thing.
Yeah, that's why I always tell people, because people always bring that up to me, right? Like, Fausto, what do you think about this? And I go, from my experience, when I first got sober, I did try that, right? I tried the O'Doul's, and I went through a phase. Oh yeah, cool. I had O'Doul's with my friends at the bar, right? Because I was there. I didn't want to be there, but I was there. Then it was like, yeah, I want to see a concert again. Or DJ, I'm a DJ, so I'm going to go to the Club Exchange, you know, Academy, all this stuff. And I'm going to have, you know, they have IPA non-alcoholic.
Yeah.
And I go, for me, guys, the taste did not trigger me. I actually stopped doing it because I felt like I was wasting my money. Yeah. I was like, I just spent $10 on basically water. to me. So that's why I stopped. So now I don't want to waste my money on it. I'm cool with soda water, splash of cranberry if I want a fizz.
Right.
But I know some people, because I've learned the taste is the trigger. So be careful.
Yeah, why play with fire? You know, you're trying not to get burned. Why, you know, oh, I'm just gonna buy a sparkler, not the. No, come on, man. You're still, you know. So it's just, but it's just funny to me, like a lot of these things. And I remember hearing that way back when I first started getting sober from my sponsor, romanticizing the drink, and all of us. How I retained all that when I didn't even want to retain all that is just weird to me. But I'm just so grateful for this past year and a half and for all of it. You know, I was texting someone before I got here, and what are you doing? I was like, I'm just reflecting here at Starbucks, getting ready to be on this podcast. And she was like, oh, okay, really? And I go, yeah. What are you reflecting on? I said, how grateful I am. How grateful I am to live this life of service. And a lot of people think you do service to earn kudos. Nothing that I've done for the last year and a half has been to gratify myself or to feel better about myself. And that is just weird to me. It is so weird to me where all this comes from. I told somebody the other day, I can't explain why I do the things that I do. Like, I can't, nor do I want to. I'm just moving.
You're walking in purpose. And I think that's what people, I think everybody wants to know what their purpose is in this world. It's just, I feel like everybody wants to come to that place, whether it's when they're younger, older, at some time. Because, like, you know, in life, I think, you know, you come into this world innocently as a child, and, you know, you're typical, you go to elementary school, middle school, high school, you're learning things in school, different stuff, you know, then you start dating, falling in love, learning that stuff. And then you're like, man, what's my career going to be? You know, just living life. Right. But as you know, as you're an adult, like you said, then once you start making maybe money, you get the car, you get these things, it's exciting. But then you get to a point where you start to, like you said, man, something's missing. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Like, okay. And again, some of us get there earlier, some of us get there later. But I think when you're walking in purpose, like you said, it's just like, I don't need any gratification. Life is just so amazing. And this is what I do. And it's just, like you said, that purpose feels so good.
It does. And it's like he's orchestrating this other stuff, because he knows me so well. And he's probably up there and he's looking down and he's saying, well, you know, Frank's doing so good, but I also got to give Frank a little bit of what Frank likes. So then, you know, then I meet this guy, Pablo, and we're working on an app together. And I'm opening up this dog wash with someone I value and respect. And like these other little projects that come about, all faith-centered, all, you know, and it's like stuff that I love, that I still love. And, you know, not always about the money, but a lot of people don't know how exciting it is to actually grab a thought, build it out, see it through. And then it's like, I did that. You know what I mean? And it's real. And it went from nothing into something. It doesn't even matter if it fails or not, or if it's successful. Who cares? You did it. And you learned something along the way.
And I love that you say that, because, you know, the Bible even says, like, obviously it says, you know, wisdom is better than silver and gold. But it says, but if you can have both, that's even better for the kingdom. So that's for people, you know, because some people think money's evil. No, the love for money is evil. The relationship you have with it is evil. Money's a tool. Like you said, if I have more money, guess what? I can give more money. If I have more money, I can add value to more people's lives and create things and to help people. So I love that you said that, and God still knows what we like. So God, that's the thing with people, want people to know. It's like, just because you become Christian or you get sober doesn't mean God's like, you can't have fun, you can't go to concerts, you got to quit your career. It's like, no.
You do it on a different level. The way the whole app came about, my buddy Pablo, shout out to Pablo, and he builds app. He has this amazing story, and he was Silicon Valley, whatever. He's back out here now. And we meet randomly through LinkedIn, and I wasn't doing anything, but the service heart, right? And him and his business partner reach out to me, and I happen to be in Ontario. They're in Ontario, and they're asking me to meet up for breakfast, and I'm like, I'm in Ontario right now, and they just randomly hit me up on LinkedIn. We don't know each other from Adam, and they're like, you would really meet us? And I'm like, yeah, I'm like right here, dude. Where do you guys want to meet? I'm hungry. let's do this. And they're like, 'cause I'm pretty popular on LinkedIn. And
everybody follow him. Huh?
yeah, everybody follow me on LinkedIn. So I meet these two guys, and they're like, they can't believe that I'm there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm right here, dude. Like, what's going on?
This is
So
me.
yeah. And so we meet, and they ask me about their fleet business, and I offer them some ideas, and they're just like, "Oh wow, dude, you like went out of your way, and that's so cool." And I was like, "Yeah." So then I end up talking more with Pablo. He tells me about this app stuff, and then he's all like, "Dude, let's put you on like an AI version of the trash guy, and do all these other things. I can't get into details because we signed an NDA, but so." First question I asked Pablo, if we do this and it's successful, what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do? And he goes, Frank, can I tell you something? I go, yeah. And he's like, I would help out or open up a center for abused women because my mom went through some stuff. And I looked at this man and I said, all right, we'll do it. If that's the plan, we'll do it. And Aaron always says abundance, right? The abundant life. And when you do have purpose, and what a lot of people don't get that I wish they got, there's a lot of things that I wish people were would get just by believing, becoming a believer. We need not worry about financial gain because he will provide. And if this is my purpose, which it is, and if I'm called to help other men, which I am, all that other stuff's going to be taken care of. And that's why things align. That's why these things happen.
Yeah, and explain that. Can you try to explain that in practical terms? Because like I know what you're saying, but sometimes people are like, but that doesn't make sense. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. Like you need money. You have to have money. You got to worry about these things. What do you mean? Like it's gonna come or it'll take care of itself? Like, how would you try to explain, how dumb it down to somebody?
I've tried countless times. The best way I could explain it is surrender your heart, be good, and everything you want in life, you will gain access to. That's the best way I could say it. Like if you truly want something, surrender your heart and give it to God. It doesn't always have to be about addiction. It doesn't.
Right.
Our problems, everyone's issues. We go back. They meet people like us, but it's so funny how the things that we learn have real world applications. Keep your side of the street clean. Right?
Be honest.
Be honest.
You know what I mean? Give first. Make it right. Just like like things like that. Yeah. Just and I love that because this is like my little example. I said there's two types of people in this world. There's a person who works really hard to make 10 grand to get VIP bottle service to the club. And then you have the other guy who gets invited to bottle service to the club. Which one do you want to be?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like the guy being invited to Fausto's podcast.
And that's like what you said, right? When you're good to people and you do right, that's how God provides. Like, you just never know who God's going to introduce you to. Like, for example, yesterday this guy saw one of my reels, and this happens a lot in my life. 300 followers. So from face value, you think it's just like a random person. Okay. Yeah. But he goes, hey, I'm making a movie on kids that were, abused by pedophiles, because he saw my video.
Right.
He goes, I would love to chat with you. And me, because I'm like you, of course. And I'm that person. Here's my number. You know what I mean? And call me. All right. And I answer, hey, how's it going? And I'm like just listening and asking him, that's amazing what you got going on. And, and he goes, oh man, so cool. This and that. I'm like, yeah, let me know I can help. Like, where you at? Like, I'll come out to you, and I will. I'll pay my own flight to go to Nashville to hang out with you. Like, to me, it's just, why not? Because again, that's purpose driven me. Like, I love it.
Right, yeah.
And he's like, oh, have you ever heard of, like this person? I'm like, oh yeah, it's like a real big podcast. He goes, you want to be on it with me? I don't want to do it alone. Like, you want to do it with me? I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, also, this and that. Would you want to go? Oh my, okay. I'm like, whoa. My mind sees this big podcast as, man, the way to get there is I got to become somebody big one day, and I got to go to Tony Robbins events. I got to be Tony Robbins friend, maybe hopefully, and this and that. Maybe I got to pay all this money, and then I can get here. And God's like, nah, just just keep on helping people. Watch, someone's going to give you a call one day.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, this is my friend. Actually, do you want to come on with me? And it's like,
Yeah.
God, just like, oh.
To try and get people to believe that is a struggle, you know, and I have a friend, and, you know, we have these conversations and, you know, there's a percentage about, you know, we talk about people who take and people who give, right? People who give the appearance of VIP bottle service and the fancy cars and the this and the that and the, you know, when someone asks you to forego or give up something that provides a security blanket from you, for personal gain or growth, that's a taker. You know, when someone flies to Nashville out of his own pocket to help someone out, it's a giver. There's very few of you versus thousands of the others.
Yeah.
And it's so hard for people to make that distinction sometimes because of the flesh, right? You see the shiny things and the new vehicles,
Lamborghinis, and the suits and the Rolex and the cinematic shots and they're working out and the hot girl.
But I mean, how easy is it to fake the funk these days?
Hey, oh my guys, you know you can rent a mansion on Airbnb.
Yeah.
You know you can rent a Lamborghini for like $400 for like a couple hours, like you said, like you know that's all probably fake.
Yeah. How is it? It's just so easy to do all these things and to have these things, and it's like the most realist people that I know are people like you, who have success, but you will never know because you don't carry yourself a certain way. Some of the biggest mentors that I've ever had, some of the biggest company owners and the people that I associate with, because I do know owners of companies, high valued individuals, none of them carry themselves or take themselves to VIP bottle services or any like that. And one of the things that they have in common, most of them, is that they also give back in their own certain way, I've never worried about money because I'm good at what I do. And I knew that I could always find a job or I could always do something. Bills are always going to get paid. I still don't worry about that. What I worry about these days is how to get more people into the kingdom of God. And sometimes that takes money, right? But in a funny way, I'm not too worried about it because things are lining up. And that's how I want to explain it. Like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm praying for. And God's going to provide. And he will. And the only thing I have to do, the only thing Frank has to do is remain obedient. Keep opening the Bible. Keep helping people. And all those other things I don't have to worry about. Just like I don't have to worry about a whole lot of other things. That's been the hardest battle, Fausto. That's been the hardest discipline to learn, is to truly surrender. Because I battle sometimes, you know, inside of my head. Is this really happening? How has this all just happened? Like, I can't make sense of it. And so the flesh would like to tell you, it's just coincidence, man. It's just, but then there's no coincidences. There just isn't. Like, I can't explain my life the last year and a half. Everything that's happened, everything that's transpired, everything that I've lived through, the way that I feel, it's a miracle. And I see miracles every day in you, in some of the men that I help walk with. You know, I'm no one's savior, nor will I ever be, but I'll walk with you to Nashville if we have to.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
yeah,
that's the role. That's the mission. We don't save people. We walk with them, and we sometimes hold them accountable, sometimes speak life into them, while at the same time learning a little more and more and more about ourselves and about Jesus. And it's so much fun. And it's so gratifying. And I wish I would have found this a long time ago, man, because there could have been so much more that I could do. But, you know, I'm not beat up and I'm not haggard, and I still have a lot of life to give.
That's right.
And the rest of this journey is going to be dedicated to just that.
I always tell people God can do more with your life in 1 year than the 30 years you didn't know him and think that you wasted time. God can do miracles.
Yeah,
You know?
just what he's doing right now. It's like he fast forwarded. It's like I'm telling you, he's sarcastic, bro. He's like sitting up there, he's like, I'm gonna hit the fast forward button now. Don't worry about all those years. They weren't wasted.
You're good. I want to make you feel. Just kidding. I got you. Like, oh gosh. Yeah. I remember. There was this one funny story that I always share because I always say God's the funniest comedian I know. Right?
Yeah,
he's the best stand-up comedian. And I remember, for me, I had 3 years sober, and I was living in Irvine, and I grew up in Placentia. So living in Irvine in Orange County, we always knew like, oh, you live in Irvine, right? So I had this really hot girlfriend, fitness trainer, IFB pro champion, competitor. People like, you're a power couple. At 3 years sobriety, I finally living in Irvine. And I was like, man, I'm on top of the world. This is great. And so I go, all right, God, I need a raise at work. I'm not really making a lot of money. Can I have a raise? God showed up randomly. I went to go be of service to my friend. And I get a phone call the next day. And the owner of the company is like, hey, I heard you're looking for work. And I'm like, no, I'm not. He goes, well, I saw you were at the company. I was like, no, I was just hanging out with my buddy to see how he was doing. Oh, okay. Well, the owner wants to hire you. I'm like, okay, well, I don't do that position I did back in the day. I'm actually, went to school and I got a degree now. He goes, oh, okay. I'll let him know. He calls me back the next day. Hey, the owner really wants you on the team. I go, oh, okay, yeah, I'll let you know. And I'm like, and the owner calls me the third day. He goes, all right, Foster, we got these things going on. We really want you. How much do you want? And so I asked for more than what I normally do, and he gave it to me, right? And so I'm like, whoa, God, you answered my prayer. But then a week later, I got selfish. I went, all right, God, I realized that taxes is a thing. I don't, I'm learning this stuff. I live in Irvine, God. I think I need some more money. God goes, oh, okay. Now it's about you. All right, I got you. I have a dream that night that my girl's cheating on me.
Oh.
And I just started reading this book by Jim Quick. He's a speed reading guy. And he talks about writing your dreams, right? Like a technique. So I was like, okay. So I literally was like on day 3 of writing my dreams. And I have that dream. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. So I go to an AA meeting and I can't stop thinking about it. Yeah. So then I call my girl. I was like, hey, let's go out to eat tonight. I'm going to take you out, right? Again, because I'm making fear that something's happening. And I get to the house. She's at the gym. And I'm like, you know what, God? I'm like, because I'm not a jealous person. But I was like, you know what, God? I'm going to check her laptop. It's connected to her iPhone just in case. Because I'm overthinking it. And she was cheating on me.
Oh, wow.
So within that moment, I knew I had to move out because I'm like, I can't stay here and sleep in the same bed with her. And I can't afford this place alone. She can, I can't. And so within 2 hours, my AA friends showed up, picked me up, packed my bags, and I went to go live in a church because I know where to go. But we have a church where we house people off the street, so I need to go there. So I'm sleeping in this cot. People are running around on crystal meth and heroin, kicking. And I'm just laying up crying to God. I'm like, God, what are you doing? Why? I don't get it. I'm doing everything right. And God goes, remember you wanted to save some more money? I go, yeah. Now you don't got rent. I'm like, oh gosh. Right. And in that moment I was laughing. God, it was funny because I was able to receive that and laugh in that moment of pain to get me through that day. Obviously I had to do a lot of healing during that process. It was hard, but I was like, damn, God, you're funny. Got him. I'm like, all right, God. I'm not asking for money anymore. God, I'm good. I don't want that to happen. But so, I love that you said that.
We have this discipleship program, the meeting on Saturdays, and I don't go to all of them. I go sometimes because I do a lot of work with my own personal discipler. But they were talking about prayer. How to pray, right? How to pray accordingly, and how it should look like, right? Gratitude first, be grateful. Thanks for waking me up another day, giving me another opportunity. Well, I'll give you an example of my prayer, right? One at night, one in the morning, and a lot in between. But it's normally like, people trip out. Only one person knows how I truly pray, like when it's just me and him. And it's like, yo, what up, JC? Like, thanks for waking me up today, man. I don't know what you got planned for me, but whatever it is, make sure that we fulfill your purpose and everything that you want me and have built me for. And, you first, everything else second. And, I'm not asking you for much, but if you do decide to give me a little something, maybe this will help. But most of the time it's more internal. It's more, things that I need for my character defects or to not feel a certain way, or my anxiety or my overthinking and stuff like that to help me ground myself. And then on occasion I will ask for something small or whatever, right? And then it won't happen immediately. but it'll eventually happen. One of the things I asked for was redemption, and for the people that this last time I hurt to see me in a new light. And ultimately, I had stopped praying for one person, not praying for them, but praying for them to come back. Yeah. And there I am sitting on my couch one day, peaceful, and then this person comes back. But it was only to give me more work. Here's another guy you could walk with, you know. But then that turned into something more, you know, beautiful. Appreciation. And before I came here today, I got a text. And it said, "I'm very proud of you." And that was my redemption. Because from seeing a man who broke and fell and was a complete idiot to rising again in a relatively short amount of time. Redemption. And then look back and say, "Hey man, I prayed for that." You know, a long time ago. Yeah. But, you know, here you go.
That's right.
But see, I also know like he'll do something funny later and give me another project or something weird, right? Because that's just how he is.
Love that.
Because it's just like, all right, well, good, you got that. So here's another 10 things for you to get to the next level, if there is one, right? But I'm grateful, man.
I love that. Well, you know, Frank, I just want to say before we get to the speed questions, just thank you.
Speed questions.
You got some speed questions.
Speed round.
But yeah, thank you for coming out here and sharing all that. Just amazing wisdom and vulnerability and truth and insight and just taking us on a journey, you know, because I know a lot of people have your story. And so a lot of people can relate. And I always believe that's how we find hope is in people's stories. When you're like, that's me.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I resemble my sponsor in so many ways. You know, we're almost cut from the same cloth, you know, a successful business guy who almost lost everything, and we both battled with alcohol. And there's different strokes for different folks. You know, everybody has a different journey. You know, some of us are a little, people would say, this guy's more effed up than the other, but internally we struggle with the same thing, you know, and that's using a substance to try and get over something that hurt us.
That's right.
And we all have that in common. And some of us have been through a lot of pain, and some of us have been through, not trying to minimize it, but different journeys.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, same pain, different journey.
Yeah.
So for our first speed question, we answer these in about a minute or less. What are 3 books that you would recommend to somebody that can completely change their life? And try not to say the Bible, because everybody says the Bible. Everybody does. I'm like, all right, let's try to 3 books. Even though it's the truth, I'm like, let's try to mix it up.
A Seal of God by Chad. I forgot his last name. How can I forget his last name? He just gave service at our church. Who Moved My Cheese is a good one for
I've heard that one. That's
you heard that one?
Yeah, I've heard that one. Who's that by again?
I
or what's it about?
It's about how to take care of your money and how to do it in a good way and how to save. So Who Moved My Cheese, look it up. And then the third one. Oh man. You know, I wrote a book, but I used AI. That's a good one too, but we're not gonna drop that one. What's the one? The Warrior's Way.
That's a good one.
The Warrior Poet Way. And I forgot the author's name too. And I have them all on my nightstand. Yeah, those are the 3 books that I most recently read.
I love that.
But I would say the Bible.
Of course, yeah. It's funny because what I started to discover is like all these amazing books that I've read over time because I became a reader. It all comes from the Bible. You can find one proverb sentence that's so powerful, and somebody wrote a whole entire book about it, tweaked it a little bit, how you say it, made it more catchy. Yeah. But I'm like, oh, that's literally in Proverbs, or that's in James, or that's in here. I'm like, that's why it works. You know, that's why it's so powerful to people. I'm like, that's crazy. I was like, I could just go to this book and find it right there.
I need to do more reading. Yeah. And I try my hardest, but right now everything's been so busy, but I'm learning how to add structure and more downtime.
You should look into Blinkist.
Blinkist.
Blinkist basically summarizes a book and audio while you're driving in like 15 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really good. I would do that at times
Yeah.
too when I don't really have the time. So, I don't have the time, so let me make an excuse, but I'll find a way.
Yeah.
And I would get that app, and it was helpful.
Yeah.
Because it knows how to like summarize it in audio. I'm like, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was one single mindset shift that completely changed your life?
You can't rush success. You just can't. It takes a certain level of discipline and a lot of hard work. When I decided to just flow, if that makes sense, to just go with the flow and use every single interaction and kind of just like move around it and flow through it to get there, I think was important, because then I stopped being so, I need it now, and I have to make this sale now. Mm-hmm. And I used it a lot for that. I used it a lot for navigating the interaction and closing a contract. Was just kind of learn how to flow instead of being that pushy salesperson. And a lot of that has to do with life too. And that was integrated even more now with jiu-jitsu.
Oh, I bet.
Learning how to really just flow.
No, that's so good. Yeah, it's I'm speaking at a fitness influencer event for people trying to build like a coaching business. And that's what I tell them, right? It's like, okay, well, first you got to be able to build trust with your clientele, right? So what are you doing to build trust with them? Two, also, you got to care about your clients if you want them to care about you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing. And then the product isn't what you're offering. The product is who you are.
Yeah.
And like you said, like, are you that pushy person, the salesman? Because we all know that. It's like,
yeah.
It's like seems desperate. It doesn't seem, it seems like you're just about the money. And it's like you said, hey, not everybody's meant to work with you. And that's okay. So if you can just go with the flow and allow things to just work out. Some people take more time to say yes to you. Yeah. Just let it be. It's at the right time.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Yeah. I think it's so powerful to just, hey, just chill. Yeah. Just chill. Or sometimes like that's a great idea, but think about what the cost is of that. When it comes to time and money and stress, you're not thinking about that stuff. No. You're not thinking about like you have all these responsibilities. How are you going to balance all that? Like, hey, just chill. Or it's probably not a good relationship you're going to build right there. Like, think about it.
Right?
Yeah.
Nor do you want to in some cases. Right? Yeah.
What is the worst piece of advice someone's ever given you?
Oh man, yeah, I get bad advice. I don't get bad advice. I see bad advice when I'm doing the late night scrolls on social media. Yeah. The worst advice someone's given me. Let's see. Man. Let me think here. What's the worst advice someone's given me? That's a good one. It's a really good one.
I know there's a lot out there.
There's a lot out there. Worst advice.
Like, I'll give you one. I have a lot that I do, right? So some are more personal. I've been told over time about things. And a funny one I always tell people, like, one of the worst pieces of advice I've heard people is like, the fastest way to get over one is to get under one.
That is bad.
I'm like, that's terrible advice. I'm like, you're literally just going to repeat the cycle again. That's not how it works. You know?
That's not how it works. It's the worst advice. That is bad advice. Yeah. Man, I don't know what I'm having a brain fart right now. Got another one?
we can go to the next question, which is the last one. For the we'll do this. I'll add a question in before the last one. What is one piece of advice you'd want to give to an entrepreneur or a person that's trying to get into sales, right? That can help them really, be successful in that, since that's something that you are good at, right? Is getting those relationships and building up in sales and all that. What would you want a piece of advice you want to give them?
There's a lot of things you could do. If you're in business for yourself, make sure you do your due diligence, get to know whatever it is that you're selling, but more so work on yourself, your approach, the way you carry yourself. the way that I was brought up, the way that I was introduced to sales and how to do things is to do them right. And number one starts with you. Always be presentable. Watch your words, be respectful, and just do your best to be confident, but not overbearingly so. There's a fine line, right? When you walk in and when you're walking in, you're gonna go pitch something. You want to have it's got a not the perfect formula, but you want to be confident, but you want to be respectful. You want to build trust. You want them to look at you and know that you're going to solve the problem that they're currently having. And if you go in there and if you're weak-minded and if you appear or that comes out naturally, fear is loud. Confidence is key. I would suggest to work on your confidence and to know going in there that what's meant for you was already yours, number one. And not everything is lost on a lost deal. So everything's a process. Stay consistent. Keep battling through because you're going to have a lot of mishaps. You're going to have a lot of failures, especially when it comes to sales. But if you truly love people and if you truly love to build relationships, stay the course.
I love that. Yeah, it's like I like what somebody says, the degree is just a ticket to get in the door, right? But your character is what's going to keep you in the door.
Yeah.
So if you're a likable person, you're already way ahead of all these people that have the paperwork or whatever, It's like likable. I'm going to work with Frank. Even if Frank costs a little bit more, I'm going to work with Frank because he's likable and I like working with him. Versus this person's it might be a little bit cheaper, but they're terrible to work with. You're causing me more stress.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm going to go over here. It's just...
Some of the best friendships that I've formed throughout the years have been with clients. One of my first mentors, Mike Blonde, he's living out in Palm Springs now, golfing every day. But such a very easygoing guy, such a very charismatic guy. I remember we were in Vegas once and it was on a conference and, we didn't go out that night. We went out the next day and we're over by the pool and people are hungover and he's walking around. He's like, hey, you look different with your clothes on. See, that's kind of, it's charismatic character, whatever, or talk to everybody. But it's got to be natural, it's got to be natural. You get too salesy, too pitchy, like if somebody calls me and they try and sell me something, I'll listen for about, 5-10 seconds. But if I sense any kind of fakeness, hesitation or weakness, I'm out.
Yeah.
Why would I do business with you?
It's funny because like I see people or myself, right? Like in the peptide world, I'll be at the gym minding my own business working out. I don't tell anyone I do peptide. I just don't. I don't post about it. I don't. Maybe once in a while, but I really don't. Yeah. But I'll be at the gym, and everyone's trying to start a company, and so some guy will be like, "Hey man, you look good." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." He's like, "Yeah, man. Like, what do you take?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just." I eat healthy, live my life, brother. Because I already know where it's going. He goes, oh, yeah, man. You ever heard about peptides? I'm like, me, I don't want to say I have a company. I'm like, oh, yeah. I heard they're really good. I goes, yeah, bro, I just want to let you know, man. If you ever want some, let me know, bro. I got the real stuff. We got the real. It's not like everybody else. Here you go, the whole pit. I'm just like, like that right there. You lost me. Like, stop trying to, people try to use these tactics of like fear tactics. Mine's the best. Everyone else is bad. Or so pushy with it. And I'm just like, nah. Like that's not how you do it.
I tell people that all the time. Like, someone's always going to offer a cheaper deal, right? But cheaper doesn't necessarily always mean better. Trust is important with me. So if I trust you, that's all I need. Because who really needs to save $20 or $30, especially when it's something you're going to use to better yourself and put in your body.
Oh yeah, that's why when I consult with companies now, I've learned the hard way because I started consulting with peptide companies. Again, another way to help people, and I make it so cheap. Again, that's just me. I'm like, I don't need it. I want to, but what I always ask people now is, why do you want to get into this? If you're trying to get into make money, this is not going to work because then you're not going to take my advice of how to go about this the right way. Educate yourself, understand about people's health concerns, get everything tested. Where are you getting it from? Be honest with the clientele, make sure that get ready if they, if they have a bad side effect, are you going to be there for them? Like all these things. And they'll be like, well, that's on them. And I'm like, yeah, we're not working together. That's so bad. Oh, they're like, I don't want to test it. It'll be fine. I'm like, God, like, like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And so I tell people like, that's why I'm like, that's what you're paying for, is for someone to really actually care, to know, like you said, you're putting this thing in your body. You want to be able to trust the person that what they're saying, that they are testing it. They're making sure that they're like, hey, don't touch it right now. Why? We're waiting on the next batch.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah.
Instead of just someone's like, I want to make a bunch of money off people. I'm like,
Yeah. No. And it's funny because I see it all the time. I recently signed up. I go to the UFC gym now, and you could tell, you could tell the guy, their own employees are but I was like, I'm good. I got my guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, but our stuff,
Yeah, like on the down low.
Yeah.
But, if you want, I could give you a sample. No, down that road, man. I'm not. No. Especially after what I went through with the other guy.
Yeah.
And
You
the
already
stuff
had it. Like,
he
I
was
was
giving
good.
me, which is probably the worst advice I've ever gotten in my life. Now going back to that question, worst advice I've ever gotten was, try this. It's gonna make you healthier. It's gonna make you buffer, and you're gonna F like a stallion. And none of those were true.
Yeah,
none of those were true. So
in your mind it was, right?
In your mind it was. So best advice I've ever gotten, worst advice I've ever gotten from somebody was to try testing steroids. The worst. But I don't have to worry about you, young man or old man, because God's got me. And wherever you are, I forgive you, and I hope that you're doing okay at the end of the day. But that's probably the worst advice I've ever gotten. But I am grateful for that journey, because it taught me the most valuable lesson, and it led me to this podcast.
That's right. I love that. And then for our final question, for the alcoholic that's still suffering, you guys are in an elevator, right? You're in an elevator. You have about 1 minute with him, and he's like, "Look, Frank, I heard your story, but my alcoholism is different. Trust me, I've tried everything. You know what I mean, and nothing works. I'm broken, and there's no hope for me."
Yeah.
What would you want to tell him?
I tell him that there's only been, for me, when I felt that way, and I was running out of hope, I just look at him and I say, I was right. I've been where you're at, and I used to think the way you did. And I tried AA, and I tried therapy, and I got a sponsor, and I did the 12 steps over and over and over and over again. And the only thing I didn't try was Jesus Christ. And the minute I tried that, everything in my life changed. I said, so you have, you're not running out of options. You may not have tried them all. And I would start with Jesus.
Amen to that. And then where can people reach you if they really want to join this community that you're building now with the men's recovery groups?
So you could find us at Boundless Church in Whittier, California, off of Greenleaf. We host a men's recovery room Monday nights. We actually host a Bible study Monday nights from 5 to 6. Our men's recovery program is from 6:30 to 8. Anyone and everyone is welcomed. We read the spiritual kindergarten. There's men out there in that room that are of service, that have a lot of life experience. You can find us there, Boundless. You could reach me on my socials, which I'm sure you'll tag. If you or anyone need anything, you can reach us there. You can reach us at the Triangle Hustle.
That's right.
Triangle Hustle podcast.
We'll plug that in as well.
So but wherever you are, drop us a DM. Come to Boundless Church. If you're looking to you're looking for some recovery, if you're struggling with drugs or alcohol, or if you're just having an all around bad day, come on over.
Amen to that. Well, Frank, I just want to say again, thank you so much for driving out here and making the time to take the time with us and to just gift us with who you are and what you got going on.
The honor and the pleasure was all mine.